Just like basic, hi everybody, thank you for coming, it means a lot. We've got food right here, graciously donated. Come up, grab a slice, get comfortable. We are also making note cards, thank you cards for our wonderful police officers here and in the Durango departments. Feel free, grab markers, make it cute, make it colorful, and then just drop it off in this box right here when you're done. I'll give it to Jenna.
Cool, fantastic. All right, well, so if you don't know, this is our second meeting for Turning Point USA. Excellent flag, go right ahead.
We love the flag.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Cool, so in case you don't know what Turning Point is, it's a conservative political group. It's nonpartisan, so it's not a Republican group, but it's a conservative group, and we believe in the values of limited government, free markets, and freedom generally, and we don't like all the crazy hate and violence going on, so we think the best way to curb it is to keep the conversation going. So that's what we're doing here. We're going to do a debate tonight. Each one of us, 3 of us will debate. I'm going to debate. My name is Jonah, by the way. This is Isabella. She's going to debate another topic, and Owen down here is going to debate a pretty funny topic. It'll be good when we get there. And then we'll go into an open section at the end. So we do 4 13-minute sections. We'll just put a timer on. We'll write a position on the board, and then people will just raise their hands. David is the moderator. David is a filthy liberal.
Yeah.
But he's not really,
I'm an officer from the philosophy club, so I mean, basically raise your hand, I'll call on you, and then we'll get the response, and maybe a follow-up or 2, and then we'll move on. So I'm just here to keep the conversation going.
He's the newly crowned president of the philosophy club,
Yeah.
so he's learning, he's getting up here and doing his thing, so this is a good experience. Cool, so we're gonna do 4 13-minute sections. Anything else that I forgot? Any other juice?
Forgot to mention, if you guys want to keep getting involved, next Sunday we are also having another community event at the Wild Horse. Oh, sorry, this upcoming Sunday, correction, November 9th. So look out for that. If you need more information on that, come find me and we'll make sure you get to the right place.
Oh, we already got a debate question. What's up?
Does it come afterwards, or what time do you know that's going to be?
That's going to be November 9th from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Wild Horse Saloon.
Cool.
And there will be food. Pizza and potluck.
Food.
So.
Big Sam and Sarah. Very nice. Get in here. Okay, cool. I think we're going to start then. Sweet. I'll go first. This is my position. You can debate it if you like.
Do you want to sit down? Okay.
Cool. There we go. Okay, you can have it. Fine. I'll stand. All right, cool. That's my position. All illegal immigrants should be deported. This is what I think. I'm not an expert on immigration, but this is my opinion, and I hold it pretty strongly, but I'm open to some counter opinions. So anybody got any juice? What do you got? Or if you just all agree, we'll just move on. Let me start a timer real quick, too. Okay, 13 minutes on the clock. Do your worst. No way you can all agree with that.
No.
Hi, Jonah.
Hi,
Nice
what's
to
your
meet
name?
you. My name's Elsa.
Elsa, fantastic. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, I am also not an expert on immigration, and while I can see the issues that, you know, having an abundance of illegal immigrants in the United States may pose, I am completely opposed to the way in which ICE is going about it. And so I'd like to read a passage from the Bible. This is Matthew 25, verses 35 through 45. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. Then the righteous will answer him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? When did we see you a stranger and take you in, or naked and clothe you? Or when did we see you sick or in prison and come to you? And the king will answer and say to them, Assuredly, I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of the least of these, my brethren, you did it to me. Then he will also say to those on the left hand, depart from me, you cursed, into the everlasting fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you did not take me in. Naked, and you did not clothe me. Sick and in prison, and you did not visit me. Then they will also answer him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger, or naked, or sick in prison, and did not minister to you? Then he will answer them, saying, assuredly, I say it to you, inasmuch as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me. And all that to say that the Bible preaches, compassion, benevolence, kindness, and forgiveness above all else, as far as my interpretation goes. And I just don't see how the teachings of Jesus are compatible with the way in which ICE is conducting business, as far as, imprisoning people, separating children from families,
Yeah.
etc.
So, I like that passage. I think it's beautiful. I generally agree with the statement as well. I agree with the sentiments present in it. And I just think that we have a certain responsibility, probably, maybe I don't know the exact way to word this, but to the people that are nearest to us, like we have a nearness responsibility, like perhaps somebody who is on the opposite side of the world is not the same priority as the person who's next door to me. Does that make sense? In the same way the person next door to me is not the same priority as my own brother or my own child or something like that. And so I think, yes, of course we have a responsibility to clothe the naked and feed the hungry. But it's like there's naked and hungry people in our own country, and so I think we should feed them and clothe them first, and then we can move on to other people. So there's that part. But in terms of the ICE, the way that they're conducting the raids, like you're saying, are you just opposed to the way they're doing it, or are you opposed to them doing it at all? Let's just clarify.
I'm primarily opposed to the way they're doing it at all. However,
Wait, the way they're doing it, or the way they're doing it at all? Like the fact that they're doing it at all?
I'm primarily opposed to the way in which they're
Okay.
doing it. Like I said to begin, I'm not saying we should have completely open borders. However, the United States is one of the richest countries in the world. I think we have a lot to give. And it doesn't seem like the main concern or the main reason as to why we're doing this mass deportation revolves around that we need to prioritize our own people. It seems like it's coming from a place of, honestly, racism, and like the biggest claim that I hear for people who are like pro-ICE is that they are concerned about the crime issue with undocumented immigrants, not so much as they're concerned about how our resources are being used to help our own hungry.
Well, I'll just say I don't think you're right about that the main reason people want to deport illegal immigrants is just like some kind of raw racism, like just a general disdain for perhaps Hispanic people or something. I mean, I think that's quite far-fetched, honestly. I mean, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody who just generally dislikes Hispanic people or dislikes the fact that somebody moved to one country or moved to one country from another. Like, that's such a strange thing to just hate. And that I think it's much more likely, and it's an opinion that I hold, and the opinion of the people that I know hold this as well, it's just that there's a strain on the system, there's a strain on the economy, there's a strain on neighborhoods, there's oftentimes like a lack of assimilation, there's just a ton of problems that come with it. And instead of just thinking like, oh, I don't like Hispanic people or something, like that would just be a raw racism, I just don't like them for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, it's just like, they come here and it's problematic because, many of them are impoverished or uneducated, and there's certain jobs that get swallowed up, and there's housing prices that go up, and there's a strain on the welfare system that we have, and it's, I just think the reason is because we have a responsibility to the American citizens first. That would be the reason to deport them. I definitely have nothing against Hispanic people or immigrants in general. It's not even, there would be no good reason to have something against them just for some kind of quality like that.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, and, you know, I'm glad that you feel that way. Could you elaborate on the strain that immigrants have on our welfare system and housing?
We got
Yeah.
just this last response, and then we can ask for
Okay.
for further questions.
Yeah, generally impoverished people need things like SNAP or WIC or rent-controlled housing and things like that, like low-income housing and things like that. And they do use those. Like the statistics bear it out that immigrants generally, but also especially illegal immigrants, are usually poorer and rely much heavier on SNAP and WIC and things like that. So, yeah.
All right. We'll see.
I can elaborate on the housing part. So a guy that I started working for when I moved to Durango, here a month and a half ago, he hired me to do some work on a duplex rental he had. And I won't name the roofing company, but he did. He had, the owner of the roofing company had 5 illegals that was working for a roofing company here in town. They were in there a year. He had to kick them out because, I mean, anybody could have did this damage, but the fact is these were some illegal roofing guys, but they did. He's suing the roofing company for about $30,000 in damage they did to his rental. He destroyed it.
Yeah, that's a common thing too. I mean, it's like, no one's saying that these people are not hardworking or something like that, but it's just, you're bringing people in that are untrained, impoverished, and desperate for a job. They'll take whatever job they can get, and it's like, it's very likely that problems will come from that. That's an example of that.
I want to do that. Reading scripture is great, but predominantly, if we're talking about our southern border, Hispanic people, it's just like, those countries are predominantly Christian countries. And it's just like, when we read Lord, treat our neighbor and feed our neighbor, it's just like, apparently they're not doing that in those countries, or they wouldn't be trying to seek the generosity of the United States, in a sense.
Yeah, that's
So
interesting.
just like, I think some are immigrants that are here illegally, I think there needs to be a change in their government in itself.
Yep, I
To
agree.
treat
Yeah. A
the-
lot of
to
those
treat their
countries,
own people
their
right.
governments are falling apart, still developing and stuff like that.
All right. Further questions?
I'd just like to add to the scripture reading, there's no reason we couldn't continue to be kind and feed the poor, give them something to drink with them still in their countries by donating, you know, within our own pockets and that type of thing. And then to mention the immigrant gangs that have freely come into the country that have created quite a bit of chaos, like the Venezuelan gangs, for example.
Yeah, the Tren de Aragua. Yeah, there's lots of stuff like that, and it's, I mean, there's a whole other problem with just people coming across generally. It's like when you do it illegally, you need usually a criminal to do it for you, like a cartel or something like that. And so every time somebody pays a cartel to do something, you're empowering the cartel to go do other awful things. So yeah, that's a whole problem. I'm assuming that all of you want this then. I'm assuming you all agree. Nobody's raising their hands. You must disagree. What do you got?
Red hat.
This answers the question, just to piggyback on what you were saying.
Yeah.
I believe in supporting everyone that we can. However, if you come into my country illegally, you need to start the process where you came from to get here legally. And once you come here legally, all of our opportunities are there for you. But you come here illegally, no. No.
Other questions?
What do you got, Sarah?
How do you know?
Go on.
Do you think, what do you think about the process of becoming a legal immigrant? Do you think it's, I mean, I'm just,
Becoming a legal immigrant?
a space, legal.
Yes, okay, it's hard to understand there.
Yeah.
What do I think about the process? I
Yeah,
guess, I don't know
like some
exactly.
consider it to be too difficult, others say, well, the average American citizen could have passed the test.
I'm not super familiar with what it is. I know it's really long, the system's super backed up, it's hard to go through. Yeah, I mean, I just also think, yeah, it's still Americans should be prioritized first. It's like we have a responsibility to Americans first, so it's like, would it be better if all the people who were illegal immigrants were instead trying to become legal immigrants and coming the right way? Yes, that would be better, but I also just think like, yeah, we have so many of our own problems that we shouldn't be using billions and billions of dollars to prioritize even legal immigration. What we should be doing instead is just helping Americans like live good lives where they can afford normal things, and then we can extend the generosity from there. Yeah.
Sam?
I am frankly grossly uneducated on this subject, but I'm wondering if there is any point in which you would say or concede that there is, or would you say that what would you say the way in which we are going about dealing with illegal immigrants and making people legal immigrants do you agree with that process, or is there anywhere you could see that it needs?
Are you talking about the ICE raids?
Or just anything, in terms of how we deal with it.
I mean, the ICE raids is a juicy topic, so we can talk about that real quick. Yeah, I think a lot of times they can be unnecessarily violent, but I really think that sometimes it's because, not that they're not violent enough, I don't want to say that, but it's like they allow a certain amount of protesting and resistance that they shouldn't allow. And they should shut that down with overwhelming force early on, so that it doesn't turn into some crazy struggle where they're like fighting with people in the streets and having to do this big ordeal. What it should be is just more controlled. The whole area is controlled, and they could just peacefully arrest somebody. But also, it's like when you arrest people and they resist, like you force them to be arrested. Like that's just what law enforcement is. You're actually forcing your will on somebody. So it's like, yes, there's an inherently violent nature about it, but it's like that's just what you do, what you get when you enforce the law. So I think it's somewhat okay. Cool. Time's up. Thanks everybody. Clap for you guys. We're going to move on to Isabella now. She's got a pretty juicy topic. We'll
Round for Isabella.
I didn't know it was that juicy.
Hi everyone, my name is Isabella Trevino. I am from Gallup, New Mexico. I grew up as a Native American, but I have a family that's Mexican, so I'm everywhere. So yeah, let's get started.
Questions, responses to this topic?
All right, 13 minutes. State your claim real quick, and then we'll go 13
Okay,
minutes.
my claim is trans women are not women.
Hi there. Trans women are not females.
Yes.
Trans women are not biologically females.
Yes.
They are males. They may choose to live their lives as women, depending on how you define that, but they're not.
Yeah.
All right. And that's just,
Please raise your
that's
hand
biology,
before you start speaking.
that's a man. Sorry. I will now raise my hand and cede my time.
How would you respond to that?
What?
Oh, how would you respond to this?
Oh, so I believe God made us men and women. So yes, I agree that trans women are born male. So I don't understand why would they be in the wrong body if God decided you're in the wrong body. I don't get why. He would be like, hey, I want to make you confused instead of like giving us a purpose. You know what I mean? Kind of. I'm not really good at this. I'm sorry, guys.
You're doing great.
We're just normal students, we're not master.
Yeah, I'm a sophomore. I'm still learning.
Alrighty. Great.
Not to argue anything, but I guess there's studies going on in whether this is a mental illness thing, because with me, I can't even my brain can't even compute why a guy would want, I can't even wrap my head around, other than I can explain it must be mental illness. I mean, because I can't wrap my head around if someone had a straight mind, why they would want to do this.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know how to respond, but I agree too.
Well, I'm just,
Alright. Richard?
Yeah, so according to the National Library of Medicine, National Institute of Health.gov, it says that a person can go through surgery to change their biological body parts, but it is scientifically impossible to change your chromosomes from XY to XX. Like, there is nothing you can do to change your chromosomes, and that's how God created you, with your XY or XX, male or female. And according to Genesis 1:27 in the Bible, it says, in the image of God, He created them, male and female He created them. There is no other genders besides male and female. According to the science and research done, you can't change your chromosomes. So if we take those two different sources and match them against each other, according to what you're saying, a trans woman is not a female. You cannot go scientifically, biologically, from male to female or from female to male. It is literally impossible. And I agree with what you're saying about the mental illness thing. Like, for someone to realistically think that they can go from male to female, it doesn't make any sense in my mind. The more I think about it, the more I find that it's just purely insane, if you will, that someone would think that, and it just makes me sad. I think, what would this person have to go through? What trauma would this person have to have endured to think that they need to go from male to female or from female to male? Because it's not just something that someone thinks. There's some trauma.
Sides now. So of course, you're going to have people that are born female thinking that they're a man. If they're acting like a man, they're expected to act like a man. So that's my input on that.
All right, any further questions?
Do you think that trans women deserve to exist? Are you opposed to their existence? If we had just trans women up there, as opposed to them arguing that they are a woman and they just called themselves trans women, would you be okay with leaving it at that?
Honestly, it bothers me when a man, biological man, calls himself a woman, because we are gifted to give life. So I feel like when a man's like, hey, I'm a woman, I dress like one, I'm acting like one, I have hormones like one, it's not gonna like change my mind. You look like a man to me, I'm gonna treat you like a stranger. There's no way I can like treat you as my own. Like, if someone's gonna, a trans man or a trans woman, if they're gonna push it on me, like I have to accept them, I'm not gonna accept them. Like, I would leave them alone if they leave me alone. So that's how I would handle it.
Thank you.
All right, Zoe? Wait, Lucy, sorry.
Oh, you're good. I definitely hear what you're saying. I just think it's crazy that, like, if that is truly who someone believes they are, I think they should be able to be who they believe they are. And I think that it's really sad to see how people are treated, and to see that people feel like they can't be themselves, and they feel like they have to hide, and they're scared their rights are going to be taken away because of how some people treat them, you know? And like, this is kind of one of those things. It's like, it's really sad to see how there is like not much acceptance in the world anymore. I feel like everybody deserves to be accepted for who they are, and I think it's really sad if that's who someone believes they are. I think they should be able to be who they believe they are.
Yeah. Okay. So the way, for me, if someone's gonna push something on me and make me accept something, I'm not gonna accept that. Cause like, I have friends that are trans. They don't like force me to accept them. Like, they know how I stand on things, and they're okay with that. But the way a man can like dress as a woman, they can be a woman if they want, but it's not gonna change my mind. It's not gonna change people's minds how they're gonna see them. But like a trans woman trying to go into a woman's bathroom, I feel like that is completely different. That is supposed to be a safe space for all women. Like recently there was a woman that called out a trans woman for being in the bathroom, and she felt uncomfortable. And the gym kind of like revoked her membership because she felt uncomfortable. It happened recently. So it's kind of like, we don't want trans women to invade people's safe spaces. And yeah, it's gonna be hard to accept them because they have a different mindset and everything. But it's kind of like, hey, there's two genders, two sexes, male and female.
Any follow-up?
I'd like to add a little bit to that point, actually, which is that for a trans person, they can exist and present themselves as whatever they want to. They're an adult. They have the autonomy over their body. That's totally fine. The problem comes whenever you live in your own reality outside of what is generally accepted as our reality. If we can get on board that, like, you acknowledge that you're male and you present this way, that's perfectly fine. Like, I think we can all get behind on that. And the problem in the, like, actual space is that now it is impeding upon the group that they claim to be a part of. If you want to join the group, you should be empowering those safe spaces while not being an active, destructive force in them.
Or the American flag.
Yeah. I am curious, if there was a trans bathroom, would you be okay with that existing? It might be a little complex logistically speaking, putting 3 bathrooms or 4 bathrooms into a building, but.
I actually had a lived experience like kind of earlier this year. So I didn't know there was gender neutral bathrooms when I first came in here. So I read the sign and it looked like a regular women's bathroom to me. I went in, but when I was coming out, there was a man, or trans woman, and I was like, hey, you're in the bathroom. They got upset and started coming at me, so that kind of made me uncomfortable. So I feel like there should be a 3rd bathroom for like those certain people. Just like, don't mix it up, because things like that will kind of happen.
You'd feel comfortable if it was labeled as a trans bathroom and not having a woman's bathroom.
It could be like
labeled
a
as
family
gender
bathroom.
neutral.
Like a family bathroom would be fine with me.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Or questions? Let's see. You in the black.
Me?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if we're allowed to address other people, so I'm curious what rights trans women are not getting.
Actually, I have
So
for her?
it's just like questions
Okay.
directed at her. All right.
All right.
Other questions?
I don't know on topic, I'm just curious, if I'm able to get a raise of hands, how many people in here lean left politically? That's interesting.
All right. Yes. Other questions?
Just
Oh, okay. Next one.
thank you. So you say that you feel comfortable when a trans woman enters the women's bathroom. Do you consider or feel empathy towards the discomfort that they may feel entering a men's bathroom when they don't identify with that gender?
So I don't know how they feel, honestly, but that's why I kind of support like the 3rd bathroom. That's where they feel safe, so I feel like that's okay with me as long as it's not affecting me in a way.
So that 3rd bathroom, is trans women and trans men both supposed to use that bathroom?
That's why I said 4 bathrooms to allow for that.
Economically, how many bathrooms can we afford to build?
All right. You can go. Oh, sorry. You.
So, kind of to your point, you talk about rights and discomfort, and there's no question that somebody who identifies as trans is going to be uncomfortable in that space. And there's certainly no shortage of gay bashing, or men who find effeminate men unacceptable and have beaten them for centuries. However, it seems to me that when you let a man into a women's space, the women always lose. And what we're seeing here is just a huge loss for women's autonomy across the board, which is why I'm against that. And I don't go to school here, but my understanding is, like you're alluding to, a lot of bathrooms, if not all of them, are neutral now. So how do the women who work here or go to school here feel about that? I would be super uncomfortable.
For me, I am uncomfortable. That's why I always use the bathroom in like my dorm now, because of what happened to me. So I do feel uncomfortable, but I don't know how many other women or girls are feeling uncomfortable.
Yeehaw. All right, fantastic job.
Yay!
All right, Cool. I think this time, yeah, we ended up with a lot more conservatives than liberals. Hopefully this one maybe can divide us all equally. I don't know. We'll see what you got. Let's hear some juice. Even if you agree with it, maybe you can play devil's advocate or something.
Yeah, my name is Owen Littleton. I am a second-year student here, and my claim is this.
Oh no, that handwriting's not helping.
No, it's not. College is largely a scam.
Okay. Cool, we got 13 minutes on the clock. Let's hear it. All you educated people.
Are you in college?
Yes, sir.
Why are you in college? If you think it's a
Originally, I came to college because I thought I would have a very good shot at fulfilling all my dreams, namely to go to some sort of healthcare field. And the longer I've been in it, the more I've realized that I've been scammed out of a lot of my time, and a lot of money will have end up being spent for naught. And I think it would be a waste for me to keep going here, which is why I'm dropping out after this semester.
All right. Follow up. Let's see. All right. Okay. Great.
Do you feel that you've been scammed out of your dreams or scammed out because of what the school has to offer?
I would say not necessarily dreams, but probably more so my time. Originally, I was in community college, and my advisors did not help me at all. So I spent 2 years working on classes, and I had the expectation that I was going to come here and would have only 2 years left to finish my bachelor's degree. That was not the case. I had 3.5 years left, minimum. And the more and more I thought about it, the more I felt that, well, and the more my own values and aspirations for my own life changed. And I think part of that is the fact that a lot of kids, when they go to school, are very young and impressionable, and they don't know what they want yet. And the fact that they honestly kind of feel pressured into a system that takes way, like, dude, student loans, the fact that you're able to go into tens of thousands of dollars in debt right out of high school, I think is absurd, and there's not enough information and education for kids before going to college.
All right, let's see with this.
Do you think college is a scam because of the money that is spent, or more the time you spend in college?
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually think it goes a little bit deeper than that. Not only, so this is a 4-year institution, right? Did you know that here at Fort Lewis College, there's only a 33% chance that you'll actually graduate in 4 years? 40% chance that you'll graduate within 6 years. To me, that's a failure of a university, but I digress. The actual national average for graduating in 4 years is only 19%. And that's how these things are marketed as, and it's, you know, more often than not, you will be spending within, I think I've seen an average about 5.5 years in school. And not only that, the prospects of you coming out of college with a well-paying job are a lot lower than actually most places with remote. And I could go into those statistics if you need to.
All right. Wait, Jen.
The old lady in the back. I have 3 children through college as well, and I always thought, number one, they shouldn't start till they're about 20 anyway, because they don't know what they want.
Yep.
But would you have benefited more from really good counseling through high school, looking at what you're, you know, they do this little test, what are you good at, and you're really not sure yet as well, but then possibly exploring a lot more, because our girls stopped and started and changed mid-course as well,
Yep.
after several years of college.
Yeah.
But would that have been more good, would that more good?
So, yeah.
Would that have been better for you, do you think, in a lot of kids coming out of high school to have?
I think it would be. I think it would be a lot better for kids coming out of high school to know that there are more options other than college. For me, I was homeschooled through high school, so I kind of made this decision on my own. But at the same time, it's kind of like, well, duh. Obviously, that's the right decision. That's the only decision is you go to college. And my dad worked in blue collar work too, so it was like, oh, okay, the stigma is like reject blue collar, go to white collar. And I feel like that was a big mistake because as I'm learning now, I do enjoy those blue collar jobs. So getting more exposure to different avenues in life, I think, is an utter necessity that we lack in this country.
Alrighty, Blue Jacket.
So say you're wanting to go into the medical field, but you think college is a scam. What alternatives would you present?
Unfortunately, the way it's set up, there isn't. It's essentially, you have to get an undergrad degree, 4-year degree, you have to study your butt off for the MCAT, and then you get to, have a shot at applying to medical school. What I think is a load of baloney, to use kid-friendly terms, is the fact that you have to go get an undergraduate degree before taking the MCAT and getting enrolled in medical school, and here's why. I work at the nurse's office here on campus, and I've talked to these nurses, and I was like, okay, so you guys had to get your undergrad before going to nursing school? They said yes. I was like, did that undergraduate degree have anything to do with what you learned in nursing school? The answer was no. And I think we are wasting those 4 years minimum of people's time. And unfortunately, we are in a very big public health crisis. We are lacking doctors and physicians and nurses, and I think the way we have it set up right now is just making it worse.
So you think nursing school could be offered without the undergraduate, and that'd be a lot more productive?
I think so, and I think what you should have instead is encourage students to study on their own. And if they're able to pass the entry exam without the degree requirements, they should be able to go in. Because a lot of the degree requirements that you need, like your prerequisite classes, they're going to go over again in those programs anyway at a much deeper level. So I think you might just love to do that.
Alrighty, green shirt in the back.
Yeah, so before I start, is there any literature students in here?
Sorry, what was that?
Is there any literature students in here? Okay, well, going through high school, all I wanted to do was become an author. And I thought, college would be a great way to learn how to write books and get a taste of what it's like. But then listening to Turning Point's founder, Charlie Kirk, there was this one interview that specifically stuck out to me. He was talking to a 4th-year literature student, and he asked him a simple question: what is your favorite Jane Austen novel? The student responded with Harry Potter. Seeing that, I was like, okay, so he's a 4-year literature student, and he can't respond to one of the most famous author in the world's book. There's so many Sense and Sensibility, the first one that comes to my mind. And if he's a 4-year literature student and can't answer that simple question, what chance do I have going to college to learn literature and how to write a book? Like, instantly thinking that, I realized that, yeah, college is a scam. That was one of Charlie Kirk's biggest things, is college is a scam. And all the interviews I've seen of Charlie Kirk, he's possibly one of the most brilliant men I've ever had pleasure listening to. No college degree whatsoever. Just studied on his own, and I realized that's all you need in your life is to study on your own, find something that you love doing, and yeah, besides the ridiculous amount of money it takes to pay for college, even at a small school like Fort Lewis.
Yeah, that tuition cost is actually going up.
Yeah, I don't want to be the 4-year-old still in college.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
I would disagree on the point that college is whatever you make it. So if you are studying with intentionality of actually learning what's in that class, especially if you're studying for the MCAT, those classes are made to prepare you for something like that. And just the amount of, especially in the science department here, Fort Lewis is good at undergraduate research. Like studying proteins and all sorts of different things. Prepares you for something like medical school that's so rigorous. Like you can, the jump from, if you went from high school to medical school is phenomenal. I think that there needs to be something in between where you will be learning what's going to be on the MCAT, researching, and maybe you want to be someone in research. Rather than going to medical school, but a way to discover different avenues. Yes, it's going to cost money, but I think that the preparation has to be worth it, because going straight from high school to medical school is just such a big job.
No, I agree. Ideally, there would be an alternate pathway between the two, because studying it on your own would be very difficult. My main issue is that the system we have set up now is built to get more money out of you, and it wastes a lot of your time. I would like to bring up the liberal arts core, right? This is about roughly 33 credits here at Fort Lewis College. That is one academic year, if not a little bit extra, of work that you have to do. for something that honestly doesn't have to do with your actual field of study oftentimes. So ideally, you would be able to cut out a lot of the fat from the bachelor's program, and ideally, you should have alternate avenues to
There definitely are ways to get around it. In a lot of high schools offer, you know, have you heard of the co-curriculum courses? I was able to come here as a freshman with 56 credits, not.
I came here with 62.
And you didn't have to.
I still was missing one liberal arts core credit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty, you want mine?
Yeah, thanks for taking my question. I have 2 questions for you, and the first one is, has college always been a scam? And number 2, the original intent, and can it be redeemed?
I think, to answer your first question, no, it was not always a scam. I think it particularly changed throughout the 80s and the early 2000s as we started pushing it as honestly the only pathway to success. And you started forcing in a lot of students into the university system that should not be there by lowering standards or increasing the amount of financial aid, which there's an economic debate that increasing the amount of federal aid to these colleges has actually allowed them to raise tuition costs. It's still a debate though, so don't take that at face value. But I think it's gotten worse since it started. And I would say that the original intention, if you look back when universities started, it actually came out of the Christian monastic tradition, where these Christian monks would basically research the whole entire world just for the sake of trying to know God's creation better. And there's this sort of curiosity and fascination with what God created that has been so far lost from our modern university system. And even if you're an atheist and you don't believe in God, I would argue there is very, very little promotion of curiosity in our university system.
Are you claiming that college has become a business?
Yep.
I would say that your statement's largely objective. Would you agree with that?
Largely objective?
I think it's objective.
I would probably agree with that.
If you go into the medical field and you get a job in the medical field, I wouldn't call it school because you're doing what your major says you're going to end up doing.
Yeah, well, partly so, and I said largely a scam because your success after undergrad is highly, highly dependent on the university you actually go to. Around, I'm trying to remember the statistic, I think 36% of universities will leave their college graduates after 10 years, either making less than the average high school graduate or barely making more than the high school graduate. 36%. And none of these universities are going to advertise where they fall in that bucket. And, ultimately you're taking a huge risk that I think a lot of people are not prepared for and not educated about.
All right, in front.
I agree with you that I've been thinking about this point for so long, I've lost it, but I'll come back to it. I do agree with you that I agree with the sentiment that if you don't know what you exactly want to do, that college, it's a good place to lose your money if you're drifting and can't find a path for yourself. How would you feel about trade schools or internships for high school students? Do you think that would help prepare them to make good decisions?
Okay, I think yes, promoting those things would be a lot better than what we're doing right now, and making those options available, and even saying, hey, if you don't want to pursue higher education, that's okay, but we need to be preparing kids to have a plan, but not just one plan, which is college. We need to allow them to explore different avenues.
Fantastic.
We're going to do one more section of 13 minutes. This is going to be an open section, so it's like anything that you want to, I know a lot of you guys are conservatives, but anything that you want to debate about, talk about, it could be the same topic. I kind of prefer a different one, but if anybody just has some kind of juicy topic they want to bring up where it's like, those conservatives, they always think this dumb thing, bring that up now, or just whatever. It's an open section, so we're going to go 13 minutes. You can ask anybody up here. We'll start here.
Alrighty, Flexford.
Yeah, Jonah, I have a question for you.
Elsa.
And y'all can feel free to chime in as well.
But on the ASFLC meeting, you claimed that you stand for 3 things primarily, which are free market, freedom, and limited government. Do you still stand by that?
Yep, completely.
So my question
Although
is,
free market, I'm like not that sold. I'm not super into economics, to be honest with you, but sounds good. I dig it generally.
That's okay. I'm
Yeah.
not even going to be speaking about that one.
All right, we'll just forget that one. for
On
now.
the lines of limited government and freedom, how is limiting women's abortion rights compatible with those views?
Oh, that's a juicy one. I don't know. I'm generally opposed to abortion, not because I think like I want the government to control people's bodies, just because I think it's an evil practice. I think it's just, I mean, I believe in God. I honestly think it's a demonic thing. I think it's like a weird demonic child sacrifice ritual. That's why I think that we shouldn't be doing it. To be honest with you, that's what I think. And so it's like, yes, I think government should enforce certain moral things like that. Like, I think it's killing a baby, so I think the government should not allow us to kill babies or kill adults or kill anybody just because you just want to kill them. So, if you think it's killing a baby, of course you're going to think it should be illegal. When I'm saying limited government, I think like, maybe the government shouldn't be so focused on like handing out speeding tickets, and we shouldn't be like raising taxes all the time like we just did a couple days ago. Like, that's a mistake. That's what I mean by limited government. I still think the government should enforce like moral things like that. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any concerns about if we make abortion under any circumstances illegal, which is what's happened in Texas? Do you have concerns over how that may affect the woman who is carrying the baby that she doesn't want to? I mean, there are countless hypotheticals that you can think of, such as women who have been raped and are impregnated and who are not prepared financially to raise a child. There are also instances in which performing an abortion is medically necessary because the baby has some kind of horrible deformity or the baby has already died, where it threatens the woman's health because they are not legally allowed to get an abortion, and in some cases they're not legally allowed to cross state lines to get that abortion that could save their lives.
Well, I think that would be an atrocity if there was any kind of like, I mean, usually the 2 cases people talk about is rape and incest. I think those are like horrible atrocities, of course. I just don't think doing another atrocity in response to them would fix it somehow. So that's usually what I would say to something like that. In the case of like somebody's baby dies in their womb, I wouldn't just call that an abortion, I'd just call that a miscarriage. And it's like, yes, they would need to remove the baby from the womb, but it's not an abortion unless you're going in and killing the baby. So, a process like that is just something that was not categorized as an abortion.
You wouldn't, but medically that is categorized as an abortion and will be prevented in states like Texas where abortion has been made illegal.
I would just cast doubt on that. I don't think you're right about that. And if it is, then if you want to call that an abortion, sure, you could say probably people in here are going to be supporting that as an abortion. I don't think that's an abortion. I don't think you're right about that. Medically, I think that's a miscarriage, and then you would just remove the dead baby from your body, which is still really sad, but it's just not an abortion. Abortion is killing a baby. It's terminating a pregnancy. If the pregnancy is already terminated, you can't terminate it again, So, yeah.
All right, preacher, and then we'll go,
So, on the abortion topic, in my opinion, it's one of the most widely debated subjects in culture today. And I just want to ask you a question. If a woman who's pregnant is shot and murdered, why is it called a double homicide? If, according to people who are pro-abortion, the baby living in the womb is just a clump of cells, it's not living, it doesn't have consciousness, and why would the law classify a pregnant woman being shot as a double homicide? For someone to have a homicide committed on them, they have to be alive, they have to be conscious, and then murdered. The baby, according to that law, is now alive, is now conscious. I was adopted at a very young age. Gracefully, my birth mother did not choose abortion. Easily could have been access to her. Easily, in a split second, my life could have ended because she made a decision to have an abortion. But by the grace of God, she didn't. And I am sitting here today under the grace of our good Lord Jesus and Savior Jesus Christ because abortion wasn't an option for her. And I agree with you on the point that it's hard to talk about when someone who has been raped or who has been sexually assaulted and now are pregnant because of a man who made a mistake, did something horribly, sickeningly stupid, and this young lady who is now pregnant has, some people would say no choice but to abort the baby. I see it in such a different light. There are so many different organizations around the world, around our country, who would gladly support this young lady through the pregnancy, through term, through giving birth to this beautiful child created in the image of God, and give it to adoption, like I was. If my birth mom didn't have the resources that she had today, I would have been born into an abusive, horrible household. But because of the resources that are available in our world, I was given to a loving father and a loving mother. Like, the thought of abortion just sickens me, grosses me out. The very fact that someone can have the mindset to go kill their baby, to go kill this life created inside of them, it makes me want to cry.
Jonah, how would you respond to that?
How about you? Do you want to respond to that also?
Sure, yeah. I understand coming from, being somebody who was adopted, I understand that you have like a unique perspective on the issue. And I would say that, you are lucky because there are many kids who have been born into similar situations who are still in foster care or who are in underfunded orphanages and they are suffering. And in response to your question about the double homicide, I would pose another question to you, which is that if a pregnant woman dies because of a complication with her birth that could have been avoided or could have been avoided by abortion but was not, and I'm speaking about like birth defects that could have been aborted but it kept on, she took it to term and died as a result. Would you consider that a murder of the woman?
I feel like that's a very hard decision to make, honestly. You have to choose between two different lives. You choose between the mother or the baby. If there's no choice, say I was married and my wife's pregnant and the doctor gives a choice. Either the baby dies or your wife dies. I honestly don't know what I would choose. That's such a hard decision to make, choosing between two different lives. I honestly don't have an answer for it because that's such a hard decision. That's such a sad circumstance that people have to go through.
Totally, and I agree. And I would say that, I don't know the exact statistic, but I'm confident in my assumption that 99% of the time, choosing to get an abortion is the hardest decision a woman will have to make. And, choosing to get an abortion, if she chooses that, it is rarely ever, it is always a baby that would have been loved and that she would have loved to have, but for whatever reason, whether it's financial issues, whether it's, the country that she lives in, or whether it's a birth defect, it's a hard decision to make. And if a woman, with our maternal instincts and everything, chooses that the right decision is to get an abortion, then it likely is the right decision for her in that point in her life.
Yeah, I agree. It's a hard choice, a hard decision to make, and I honestly don't know.
I would have to say that I think the choice should exist.
Yeah, I appreciate the discussion that we just had, for sure. I think that one of the most effective things we can all do when abortion is brought up, it's what's the root cause and how can we prevent pregnancies that are unwanted in the first place. It comes down to contraceptive, it comes down to sex education, it comes down to teaching about consent and villainizing or criminalizing people who take advantage of people who are not ready to have pregnancies. Rape is wrong, it's bad, it's not acceptable, and I think if we're really concerned about the future children, we should be willing to discuss how we can allow women to have that choice, and that is education, It's contraceptive. It's teaching about consent. And I thank you for listening to me.
All right, yeah, right hand in the back.
I forgot my
It looked like a good one. Remember it real quick, man. I could see it forming. Recollect.
My only question is this to Eric. I'm actually in the same situation as he is. I'm also adopted. I have the same opinion, you know. I can't say for anyone else, but my parent, you know, she didn't have the option. She had the option to abort me, but she also didn't do it, you know.
Glad you're here, bro. Glad you made it.
Well, this is easy for me to say because I'm not these guys' age, you know, and the hormone things, testosterone thing gets going. That's a struggle. But what we have to change is we're men. I use the word men lightly because I look around and I'm in construction. My job's hard, but I maybe put a different definition on men than some guys would. But where we have to get in a culture when we bring God into this to where men start respecting women, you know, for the gift that they are, a God-given gift. We use sex as a sport.
All right, remember your question.
So to ask you a question, if a woman dies in child labor and the child survives, should said child be charged with murder when they turn 18?
Oh, absolutely not. And I think that's, no. But, absolutely not. No. But that, you know, to me doesn't have much to do with the issue at hand.
All right. So earlier it was said that miscarriage could be classified as abortion. I just looked at the definition, and abortion is the deliberate termination of a human pregnancy. It's, I don't think in any way a miscarriage will ever be deliberate. So abortion and miscarriage is not the same.
Yeah. Cool. Lucy.
So I understand that like a lot of people believe that abortion's wrong, but like, I don't know, I want to hear what you guys think in regards to if it should still be a right for them to choose. Because there's a difference between just being like, oh yeah, I think it's wrong, but like, still at the end of the day, like if that's their choice, that's their choice,
Yeah.
you know? But I want to hear what you guys think.
Well, I'll say the reason I think it's usually more serious than that is it's not like the same way that you think like smoking weed is wrong or something like that. You think that you're actually killing a literal human being. So it'd be the same way as if your next door neighbor thought it was like totally okay to just beat the life out of their kids or something. And it's like, well, that's their right. That's their right as a parent. It's like, no, it's not actually. That's a terrible thing. We should not be allowed to do that. In the same way, if you think you're killing a human, there's no way you could just live with, oh, they can kill their humans and I won't kill mine. And I think that's fine. So it's like, it's the severity of it. That's what I would say. But, y'all want to add one little thing? You know?
That's basically exactly what I was going to say.
Okay, cool. Sweet. Well, thanks, everybody. So that's pretty much the whole show tonight. That's about all we got. That's cool that so many conservatives showed up. Maybe we'll have to like reframe it next time so that we can actually get mad at each other about something. But no, I think it's cool. Yeah, bring your girlfriends next time. Exactly. Perfect. Especially if they're students here, then that's perfect. Cool. Well, last thing, we have the pizza potluck thing at Wild Horse on Sunday. It's at, what time is it, Zen?
5 to 6.
5 to 6, so we're just, it's kind of like a get to know you thing. We're just gonna hang out. If you're a student and you're interested in joining the club or being an officer or something, come talk to us. If you're a community member and you want to support it or you just want to meet, we'd love to meet you, so come meet us. Other than that, thanks everybody for coming. Anything else?
If you got any questions about what we discussed, feel free to come.
Yeah, we'll be here for a while, so thanks everybody. Cool, go in peace.